Now, we're getting a few here about a certain Edward McGuire of Toorak. The Jim Bob says, do you think Ed has so much influence over AFL affairs now he can literally get away with anything? I reckon part of that influence has as much to do with his media profile as his AFL involvement. There's certainly a reticence in the media for people to take him on. Now, if people didn't see, it is on Twitter. I suggest you watch the grab on from last night's Footy Classified. Don't subject yourself to the whole show. Like, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but just watch this clip. And it's pretty interesting because Matthew Lloyd is quite firm about, how big a blue Steele Sidebottom is made, and poses, could that be the end of him as vice captain or part of the leadership group? And Ed, without hesitating, Ed says, no, he won't. Board decision. I'm the president. Caroline Wilson comes in and says, well, the leadership group might have something to say about that. And Ed comes in again, I'm the president. So I've got to admit, Finey, when I saw that, I thought, one, even if it's right, looks really bad because it makes it look like what's the point of having a board? I'm just going to be a dictator. Secondly, I don't reckon the coach or the leadership group would be too thrilled with that either. And if you actually did do that, I would have thought that would be the recipe for absolute internal civil war. As you said this morning on the podcast, do you reckon if the leadership group and the coaching panel really wanted to dump Sidebottom as vice captain, Eddie would say what he said on the show to them? I very much doubt it.
Yeah, just to paraphrase what I said this morning, first of all, he's saying the Collingwood Football Club is not a democracy, it's not a plutocracy, it's not a meritocracy, it's a dictatorship, and I'm the dictator. But I think that might have been sort of posturing and a little bit of, the thrust of a conversation where he was sticking his chest out, because I am very dubious as to whether, if Nathan Buckley barreled him and said, mate, I am telling you, Steele Sidebottom is no longer going to be part of the leadership group and vice captain, I doubt whether the president of the club would go over the head of the coach of the club and say, nope, Bucks, I have final say, he stays. I doubt that.
Well, someone asked me the other day, has Ed jumped the shark? And my response was, well, if he hasn't jumped it, he's certainly taking off and there's a ominous-looking object rising from the water. Because I've known Ed a long time. I've known Ed 35 years. I've always got on with him well. I've always respected his passion for the game, respected what he's done with Collingwood by and large. But I reckon a lot of the times now he makes a comment and you think, this guy's not in touch with what people are actually thinking. And what disappointed me about that Footy Classified thing was that it showed that his ego and his pride was more important to him than holding the line on behalf of his club. That hasn't been said about him often. Like, often the accusation has been he's putting his club ahead of his media position. And this is an enormous problem he has with the conflict of interest. Last night was the first time I saw him, just reflexively make a comment. And I thought, geez, Ed, that was about your bruised ego here. You want everyone to know you have power. Well, you've been president for 21 years. Or 22 years. I think we all are aware you have power. How about putting your club first in this case and not make people start questioning whether you are running a dictator, a totalitarian system of governance there, and not only does your board not have any say, but your coaching panel and your leadership group don't. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster, and really damaging comment, and I reckon I'd hope, given his time again, he'd go, yeah, I made a bit of a dick of myself.
I think you've taken it a bit too far, actually, right?
Really?
I really do. I think that he was...
You don't reckon that was about his pride?
No, I don't. I think he was...
He said, I'm the president.
Well, hang on.
Like
you've had your say. Let me have my say.
Okay. I'm the host. Come on.
Final Siren.
Come on.
You're using my brand.
Okay.
Anyhow. Just let me have my say.
Yeah, okay.
Our brand.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that he had taken the mindset of being very defensive on behalf of Steele Sidebottom. And for a short period of time, he didn't see the forest or the woods for the trees.
Yeah.
Really, I think he just got focused on being ultra defensive about Steele, somebody who, 250 games. He's had a close relationship with, like any Collingwood person. He adores Steele Sidebottom. And I think the Collingwood family became very defensive of Steele, and they overlooked a couple of factors even above and beyond the unacceptable, untenable threat to the spread of COVID-19. And that was, what is any player doing drinking so much that not only is he drunk all night, but he's completely non-compass at 7:30 a.m. in the morning, to the point where he doesn't know a back door from a dunny door. I mean, there is no way a player in any leadership group should be drinking that much during the football season with games, every weekend.
Okay, so how can the president be defending that under any circumstances?
I just think that because there was an attack on Steele Sidebottom,
he moved to defend him.
Yeah, he became his public defender.
The other thing that makes it look really bad, and a lot of people have touched on this, the fact that only 3 weeks ago he was castigating Geelong for not telling us the full story about Jack Stephen. So, again, the conflict of interest, which rules are you playing by?